Hello friends, good afternoon and welcome to EduSat Live Lectures. Dear friends, today in global environmental conflicts we will be talking about hierarchy and stratification, story of conflict and dominance. To discuss this topic we have with us our subject expert Dr. Neerja Singh. Dr. Singh is Associate Professor in Department of History in Satyavati College Evening, the University of Delhi. Without further ado, I would like to welcome ma'am to our studios and request her to start the lecture. Welcome ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon friends. Today's topic is very interesting, hierarchy and stratification, story of conflict and dominance. I will be discussing how human race has progressed, the path, the trajectory it has taken, and how the emergence of various social formations and in the emergence of various social formations, how the underlying, the baseline was the emergence of classes, groups, social groups, where elements of dominance and subjugation was the nature of the society's functioning and operation. But before we proceed on further, three very important and pertinent questions any student who is interested in this emergence of growth of human race, emergence of society and its various institutions, political, economic, cultural, and its flowering, and the nature and the character of these institutions and what it implied for the human race, to what extent it was based on principles of social equality and social justice. These questions should be kept in mind before studying or doing any research or approaching this issue of hierarchy and dominance and conflict. And these questions are: first is, how surpluses were generated in any kind of social formation. This is very important because this whole issue of stratification and hierarchy was and is related to who controlled the surpluses. Second very important question is that what were the patterns of its distribution in the society? Was it based on the principles of social justice and social equality? And if not, then who controlled it and how? Third is, what is the civilizational framework and with what ideological base these institutions of controlling and sharing surpluses were created and maintained? Whether from Marxist perspective or non-Marxist perspectives, as human race progressed, its the society it emerged, or it functioned in a structure which we call it society, or by any other name we can call it, but largely, since it is accepted, the term society. How this society emerged, the various social formations, different social formations, and how the historians and intellectuals and scholars have looked at the nature of human progress, emergence of these social formations, their functioning, and how each social formation gave way to another, and then gradually in an evolutionary manner how it progressed and attained a certain technological and cultural advancement or stability. From a Marxist perspective, historians, sociologists, political scientists, economists, they have looked the emergence of social formations from primitive communism to slave mode of production or slave based economy during ancient times, then serf feudal economy during feudalism, then capitalism and colonialism. These social formations, various social classes in each social formation functioned, emerged and functioned. They performed certain economic and activities, generated surpluses. Certain classes ruled, certain classes were ruled by them, and the certain patterns of social relationship, certain patterns of institutional control in whether political or economic operated, and how these operated is looked upon, is studied and historically also, sociologically also, social relations, in terms of social relationships, institutions of property, administration, law, and so on and so forth. But the basic element of emergence of these social formations, the basic element that each social formation, whether primitive communism, where a chieftain emerged and the the tribal members of the community, they had share, they had more apparently equitable share in the surpluses, but slowly when the agriculture came into existence, pastoral food gatherer economy and society gave way to agricultural mode of production of generation of surpluses, and society based on it, where peasant came into existence, a new formation, kind of a new formation, social formation came into existence, and this new social formation was based on new laws, new institutions, where religion, family, kinship, institution of property, institution who ruled, under what kind of laws they functioned, who controlled these surpluses, how these surpluses were generated and distributed among the society and the members of the society, what was the nature of exploitation, what was the outlet, the blunting of exploitative sense of exploitation, what were the recourse to redressal, were there any recourse to redressal. So these questions were there, and how slowly one form of social formation gave way to another form of social formation. Marxists saw it in terms of alienation and class struggle, but non-Marxist also, for non-Marxist perspective also, these social formations came into existence. They functioned on certain principles of social relationship, political institutions, economic relationship, generation of surpluses and control of surpluses, and how within this emergence of these various formations, new classes came into existence. One kind of societal relationship and structure gave way to another kind of social relationship and structure, and this transformation, this shift, this transition, or this one social formation giving way to another happened because of sense of exploitation, sense of alienation, or a kind of social, a kind of not necessarily class struggle, but the structure from within itself became, the existing structure became redundant, decadent, and it was replaced by. So, internal requirement for change, when the existing systems or the principles on which the society was operating, on which the surpluses were being managed or maintained, gave way to another kind, new pressures internally within the society, new pressures gave way to new demand, and new social formations came into existence. But by and large, the underlying feeling was one class being dominated, the other was dominating, and the other one was being dominated, and this relationship persisted parallel to the human progress and human growth. Second most important point which should be kept in mind while studying hierarchy and stratification was that various scholars of various disciplines have looked to this issue of hierarchy and stratification differently. We are not discussing it from the perspective of sociologist or social anthropologist. I am discussing from an historical perspective, and from historical perspective, hierarchy and stratification, actually sociologists see it as hierarchy which was determined, which was of European construct, stratification a non-European or American construct. In stratification, the digits of were defined by monetary income, by merit, profession, these criteria were seen as the determining factor of in studying stratification. Hierarchy was more which emerged in a feudal society which had undergone or experienced all the forms of social formations. It was largely determined by birth and values. Value system was value was also associated with hierarchy. But here we are not discussing hierarchy and stratification from this perspective, from sociologist or social anthropologist perspective, but from historians perspective, that how hierarchy and stratification remained an underlying features of all formations of society, whether ideologically it was justified as ideologically justification were given that the principles operating or making operating or functioning within the society, which was making the society operational, which was making the society relevant, its institutions, the various aspects of various forms of institutions controlling and maintaining and regulating society were based largely on the principles of equality or social justice. In this, very important aspect is that how the various classes, the dominant classes, if we were studying primitive communism, how the chieftain versus the other tribal members, what was the relationship, what was the nature of surplus distribution. If the society was simple, its society was not so advanced, surplus generation was also simple, food gathering, hunting. Even in that, the best portion was given to the chieftain. So, right from the beginning, apparently which appeared to be a society where equal sharing was there apparently, but even in that kind of structure, certain benefits was given or certain benefit was enjoyed by the chief then compared to the rest of the members of the society. Similarly, in the ancient society which was dependent on slave mode of production, how master and slave, the kind of relationship, who were controlling, what was the nature of the control of social surplus, and what social, political and economic institutions were created to regulate this distribution of surplus and control of surplus, because control of surplus meant control of power structure. Power was retained in it, in whoever controlled the surplus. Similarly, in the feudal mode of production, it was the serf and the feudal lord. Their relationship was determined, again, was based on exploitation, based on relationship of conflict also, and similarly the next stage, which is the capitalist stage, where certain factors, certain issues, certain conditions gave rise to capitalist form of structure, industrial revolution and so on so forth, which we will be discussing it later on. But in that, how capitalist or industrialist and the labor, what was the relationship, how institutions of law, institution of bureaucracy, administration, institutions of property rights, institutions of democracy, principles of democracy and all the structures were created. Structures were created and an impression apparently was created that there is possibility of equal rights, equal opportunity, equal sharing or access to equal sharing of surpluses. But still the apparent, the ideological, the theoretical construct did not translate into action, did not become operational, and therefore the exploitation, subjugation, elements of dominance continued from primitive communism to capitalist form of structure, to capitalist form of society, and this relationship existed, persisted, and even now it is persisting. And so the another major point which comes into significance is how and why and in what manner concept of civilization or definition or features of civilization was constructed, because this construct of civilization implied and studied and created or defined the path, the trajectory of human progress. And civilization, this construction of civilization was seen in three aspects. First aspect was the cultural, moral and physical evolution. In cultural, moral, it was emergence of religion, emergence of social relationships, values, ethical values and normative principles which governed social relationships, which guided, these normative principles guided the social functioning, social hierarchy, social behavior, rites of passage, birth, marriage and so on. Similarly, cultural evolution defined or blossomed or constructed ideology, thought, theatre, poetry, architecture, painting, music. So these constructs were for the blossoming of the society, blossoming of the this ideological explanation of, or for ideological explanation and ideological justification of the construction of the institutions which regulated social relationship and functioning of society. The cultural blossoming and efflorescence was constructed, created from this generation of surpluses, and the class which created, which enjoyed, necessarily, not necessarily but largely belonged to the leisure class. And this cultural evolution created the laboring and the leisure class. The leisure class which enjoyed surplus, excess of, a larger control or larger sharing of surpluses belonged to this class, and when it belonged to this class, it belonged to the largely the dominant class, which was defining the nature of progress, defining the character of the society, defining the values and moral aspect of the society, but it was not directly addressing the basic nature, the exploitation nature, that the creation of surplus by one social group, how it was being dominated by the other social group which was not largely into the creation of the surplus. And therefore, this construction of civilization becomes very, very significant. Similarly, the physical evolution defined the kind of dress, the kind of nutrition which class consumed, the kind of the fiber, the kind of the texture of the dressing, the mode of dressing, the style of dressing, elaborate, decorative nature of the dressing. Similarly, how lifestyle, housing, the kind of leisure, the kind of entertainment they enjoyed, all these defined which class was dominating and which class was being the serving class, the servile class, who was providing these facilities, who were providing these services to the dominant class and also generating surpluses. And therefore, this becomes very important. Then second part which becomes very important is creation of knowledge and technology. Knowledge was created for the justification of this relevance of the society, for the justification of the existence of the society, and each social formation formation existed on some particular ideology, and therefore the theoretical base was created by this ideology. Technology provided smoother functioning of the society, making the life of the man easier, but that did not obliterate, that did not ruled out, that did not excluded exploitation and subjugation or dominance. Subjugation, dominance continued, although the nature of justification of the society and nature of containing this sense of subjugation or sense of domination differed. Like for example, with the progress of social formations from the feudal to capitalism, concepts of rationalism, humanism, equality, democracy, liberalism, all these concepts came into existence. They became operational. On these principles, institutions were being constructed and defined. Institutions of political institutions, economic institutions, cultural institutions, religious institutions were emerging. Reforms within these institutions, reforms were taking place for the to mitigate, to blunt out exploitation and also rule out or soften the element of alienation and element of exploitation, sense of exploitation were there. But it did not totally removed exploitation, and therefore civilization, construction of civilization, concept of civilization was there, and the way concept of civilization was constructed was to show how or to judge human progress on the scale of progress and development. But whether the construction of civilization, its features, the way it was defined, was accepted by all human societies and all human races as sign of progress of development remains a debatable question. Thirdly, this civilizational construction of civilization also included concept of political economy and social control. Now, political economy is the power structure and control of surplus. Those who controlled surplus controlled power structure, and institutions emerging from this political economy was to maintain the control of those classes who played important role in the construction of such political economy, and also control of surplus. And with this control of surplus, certain structures like law, bureaucracy, administration, market, economic relationship through this market forces, how market forces influenced concept of profit, all these created structures, social groups who were aware, these principles were there, theoretical principles were there, but to what extent they could avail these opportunities to improve their social status and mitigate and contain or remove the underlying feature of exploitation and conflict remains a debatable issue, because democracy, issues of humanism, concept of rationalism, principles of liberalism, all were there in the capitalist form of society and economy and polity, but it did not rule out, although it provided avenues, it provided structures, institutions where availing that or avenues for improving their social structure, avenues for improving their social conditions, avenues for implementing certain policies, implementing programs, policies to mitigate sense of the structures of exploitation, institutions of exploitation, and creating new institutions and structures based on the principles of social justice and equality. However, these efforts were not of that quality or of that of so significant which could rule out the exploitative and dominant character of all social formations, and therefore construction of civilization should also be seen as a form for justification of social dominance and exploitation. Therefore, human progress, when one studies hierarchy and stratification, one should side by side of history of human progress, human growth and development from primitive to a very higher stage of civilization based on more advanced technology, more advanced society, more advanced and sophisticated form of economic and political institutions. But the underlying feature, the basic characteristic of human societies of dominance and exploitation remained so, and all digits of human progress, technological advancement, scientific innovation, scientific discoveries and easy formation of smoothing the lifestyle of human race was important, but it was embedded in the matrix of social exploitation and dominance. And therefore, for the student of history or student of political science or sociology, issue of hierarchy and stratification is very, very important to study the nature of human progress, growth of society and growth of civilization. Thank you. Friends, in this session we will again be talking about hierarchy and stratification, but we will take examples. We will largely discuss on the protest movement, general world over, what kind of protest movement against dominance and exploitation happened, and then we will take India as an example and the nature of social institutions, social structures, its nature, how far it was exploited, what was the our social structure, what were the features of our social structure, we will be discussing in this session. Generally speaking, there were different types of social, political, economic and cultural formations as we discussed earlier: primitive communism, slavery, feudalism, capitalism and colonialism. Colonialism I have included because the experience during from mid 17th century, the kind of structure Asia and Africa experienced falls under this colonialism, and colonialism also was based on the exploitation and subjugation, dominance of one and subjugation of the other. And what kind of social transformation and cultural transformation it brought about in colonies, it is very important, and therefore it is included. Some say see it as colonialism as byproduct of capitalism, but then we will take it up when we come to this to capitalism. Before we proceed or we give examples to prove how society over centuries, how it emerged in its various forms, but largely the element of conflict, dominance and exploitation continued. Before we discuss that, more important is that in the social formations and emergence of hierarchy, role of political economy, social control and this construction of term civilization, its cultural, moral and physical evolution in terms of knowledge and technology, social, political and economic evolution, emergence of dominance and control of various surpluses, and how these features were there operating in various forms of social formation, whether it was primitive communism where chieftains and tribals were the major social constituents, or in the slavery slave mode of production during ancient society where slave and master were these major social constituents, or serf, peasants and feudal laws under feudal mode of production, or capitalist labor and colony in colonialism, colony and metropolis were the major constituents where the colony was being exploited by the metropolis and its surpluses were siphoned off, drained out by the metropolis, and how in history against such institutions and exploitation, protest and rebellion continued from time immemorial. History is full of such examples where protest movements and revolutions against such exploitative institutions, exploitative structures continued. During the during the major social constituents, in various social formations, the by and large exploitation again was who controlled the surpluses. Nature of exploitation may not be same. Nature of exploitation differed. The quantum differed. The depth might have differed, but the exploitation through structural means, through institutional means continued. In primitive communism, it was exploitation by the chief. In the ancient society, it was by the master, where such brutality was never seen before. The way the slaves were treated, it was inhuman. They were in a very inhuman condition, and no option, no opportunity for redressal. A master had total control over the life of the slave. He could kill, he could maim, he could do anything with the slave, and there was no redressal, no scope for appeal or any kind of relief to the slave, and therefore through this the ancient society generated surpluses. Good example, construction of these pyramids in Mesopotamia, in the ancient societies, many such architectural structures, systems operated, and history is full of it. With such examples, where under very inhuman conditions such slaves operated. So the exploitation was very brutal, very inhuman. Similarly, in the feudal society, it was the lord who controlled these surplus generated by the serfs or free peasantry. Total control, how the surpluses were to be used, how much lord consumed, and to what extent the part of the surplus should go to the serfs or to the peasantry was determined by the feudal lords. And therefore, the kind of taxes, the kind of services feudal lord derived, exploited from the serfs and the peasantry to created a very inhuman conditions, although many, if one sees the blooming of architecture, paintings, literature, or the cultural growth of during this system, feudal system, they were immense, but the underlying nature of the surpluses generated and institutions constructed and the major social the constituents of this feudal society, the serfs and the lord, the kind of lifestyle, the kind of food, housing, the kind of the facilities these serfs or the peasantry availed was totally inhuman, was very exploitative. It functioned on very exploitative relationship. It was a total dominance of the lord over the lifestyle, over the behavioral pattern, over the surpluses generated by the serfs. And similarly, in the capitalistic society, which emerged from the industrial revolution, where along with the technological growth in the field of knowledge, growth in the field of sense of social justice too grew during the how concept of hierarchy gave way to the concept of stratification. Now the social status was defined by the merit of the individual, of the income of the individual, the professional of the individual, and the institutions, political institutions, economic institutions founded on the principles of democracy and liberalism, humanism. Still, despite the ideological base of the institutions which governed the various aspects of the society, various economic, political, administrative, cultural, religious aspects of the society, yet the exploitative nature continued. The dominance of one section of the society who largely enjoyed the maximum share in the profit, in the excess of surplus, and who also controlled the paradigm of development, the paradigm of progress, the path of technological growth remained so. And avenues of redressal, avenues of protest were there, but to what extent, how easily were they available to the class which was being dominated? How cheap were the avenues of where they could protest, where they could voice their grievance, where they could get redressal? How cheap and how easily were they available to this deprived section, large section of the society? Was not so, and because of that, the exploitation continued. However, the growth of the ideology, the theoretical growth of the concepts, democracy, rationalism and humanism, created institutions of welfareism, created institutions of charity, but it did not totally ruled out the dominance and exploitation. It was there to blunt out, to contain conflict, to contain alienation of this exploited class, to contain the rebellious spirit of this dominated class, and to maintain the stability, the societal functioning, the functioning of the society in its various forms. And therefore these institutions were created, but by this creation of these institutions does not imply that totally a solution, a society totally based on the principles of social justice operated or functioned. And therefore protest movement from ancient period to modern period continued. If we study the history of human race, its progress, we see major landmarks where protests were recorded, change happened because of protest against one form of exploitation or the other. Right from the beginning, if we take up world history, then from Reformation, Renaissance, Enlightenment, scientific discovery, scientific revolution, discoveries, to French Revolution, glorious revolution in England to industrial revolution, all these emergence of capitalism, emergence of capitalistic society, from primitive communism to capitalistic society. And through this process, Reformation, Renaissance, Enlightenment, then American War of Independence, American Civil War, all these were protest movements. Reformation happened because of the protest against the kind of exploitation, the kind of subjugation, the kind of the nature of brutality the laity was experiencing from church, and therefore it was protest against one kind of exploitation by church of the common man, and therefore Reformation happened. Similarly, Renaissance, questioning of the existing institutions of monarchy, of church, on how that led to emergence of enlightenment, where from heliocentric world to anthropocentric world emerged. Primacy was given to human life, primacy was given to human sentiments, primacy was given to humanism. And so these movements and these happenings and these landmark occurrences happened because of they were protest against one kind of exploitation, against one kind of exploitation or the other. And this happened because of the realization, because the society was to a certain extent grew in certain manner, and then on the principles on which it was functioning and operating became redundant because of the awareness, and because of the sense of exploitation, and because of the way these surpluses were being used and abused, and how the sense and how the manner it was being became redundant. So it was in both ways society progressed and moved forward. Was that one, the dominant class also realized the method, the manner they were extracting surpluses and putting it to use was no longer now feasible or no longer lucrative, and therefore they also were when pressure was coming from them also, as well as from the pressure from the exploited class. When we come to India's situation, India's situation was different. When we study the progress and development of society or human progress or growth, how one social formation grew, attained maturity and gave way to another kind of social formation. When we study this development, this progress in the Western world, we see it as a linear growth, as a linear progress. But when we come to India, we find it as multilinear, multi-layered. Here, the way, in fact, it is very important to keep in mind that from the way the problems, the social structures, the social categories, the growth institutions, how these institutions, whether political, economic or social, cultural grew, their nature, their relevance was studied from Western perspective, and this Western perspective came into play because of colonialism. Colonialism determined and defined the knowledge system of the colonies. It questioned the existing knowledge system, the existing institutions, whether social institutions, whether political institutions, whether cultural institutions or economic institutions. It questioned because the existing institutions did not cater to their interest. The existing institutions were not feasible, were not supporting the kind of interest, the kind of the way they wanted extraction of surplus, the manner in which they wanted to extract these surpluses, and for that the institutional support they required was not there, was not existing the way they wanted it, and the existing societal institutions were not catering to their interest, and therefore they had to change, modify or do away with the existing institutions, and therefore they introduced reforms, whether it was in the land revenue reform, whether it was in the education system, the kind of administrative system they introduced, the kind of nature of bureaucracy, the law, legal system, the criminal, the way the police formation of police, army. So all these institutions they created to control, maintain and maximize surplus extraction, and in this the major component, the social component, existence of caste. Caste did not interfere so much with the exploitative nature of the colonialist. The way they wanted to extract surplus, and for that the kind of social support they wanted from the existing social groups, that did not interfere so much. As the institutions interfered, that is the existing land revenue system or existing legal or existing administrative structure, caste system interfered because the colonialist wanted that the demand for the goods of the metropolis should increase, should expand, and because of that they wanted creation of social class which will be totally in their interest and lifestyle, behavior, in their behavioral pattern like Englishmen. And therefore, if that could happen only either they adopt to Christianity or the lifestyle, and in that they criticize that caste interfered because largely conversion did not happen because of the caste, existence of caste. Many social historians, economic historians and sociologists of Western sociologists have criticized and have analyzed that why the Christianity did not progress so much as compared to Africa and other parts of the world or other parts of the colony as in India, because of the existence of caste. But when we come to but if we analyze caste in the Indian context, caste was based on the principles of exploitation. It was in the structure of caste, exploitation was inherent, but the kind of exploitation as it existed in the social structure of the Western society differed as compared to India. Caste was very complex for the Western social scientists. They could not easily, it was a complex institution, and for them it was very difficult because they could not find any similar kind of structures in any other part of the world. Therefore, for them it was a mystique, a kind of a construction which was not very easy to understand or define or explain. But here in this it is very difficult to discuss this because of the paucity of time, but I will just mention that the exploitative nature of caste existed. Theoretical construction of caste was the Varna system, and the operational aspect was the Jati. Jati was the status of Jati all over India was not similar. Each region had different status and different kinds of jatis and their different status. But this is not to say that exploitation was the underlying or the baseline or the underlying feature of caste system or the jati system, and it existed, it existed, and institutions were there to in form of caste panchayat, village panchayat, to address grievance and to address the exploitation and address their grouse against the systems or against the immediate whatever the kind of treatment they were getting. But this system operated as in Western society, and therefore to talk about human progress and development and to ignore exploitation and dominance will be doing grave injustice to study the human progress. A total and objective study will be when these two aspects, the human progress and as well as the element of dominance and exploitation, should be studied in totality to get a true picture of how human society, human progress and civilization, nature of civilization, its character and features functioned and operated and is still operating. The element of dominance continued in the story of civilization, element of liberation became subjugated, became secondary, although during the different phases of its progress it attained different attention. In the capitalistic form of society or say a socialistic form of society, this question of liberation became important, became significant. But even in the socialistic form of society or the capitalistic form of society, element of dominance and exploitation remained, and history, human progress and civilization progressed through protest and conflict, through redressal, through the struggle of the subservient, the deprived, the class which felt the sense of alienation from the path of progress, the share in the progress or in the construction of the institutions or cultural, even religious and social, which show the human progress, which prove that how human society has, in the ladder of growth, it has attained the highest position in terms of values, in terms of ideology, in terms of moral functioning, in terms of normative principles, in terms of social relationships. But the very fact that these noble ideologies, noble principles, they operate, they are the concern of all kinds of debates, and the debates are going on. Debate has not come to an end, and in the construction of any kind of policies, in construction of any kind of relief measure, in construction of any kind of welfare institutions, but element of conflict and element of exploitation has remained, and this itself puts a question mark that we have to again question the concept of civilization, concepts of society, issues of development and issues of progress. Unless that we do it objectively, element of exploitation, the as the major underlying feature of any progress or any construction of any social structure or construction of any form of society will remain, whether you change one aspect of social formation to another aspect of social formation, but the common element of exploitation, common element of dominance of dominance of one over the other, and element of conflict and sense of alienation, sense of deprivation from the results of, from the achievements of progress and growth will remain there. Thank you.
on that note, I would like to thank ma'am for this very interesting discussion, and thank you, dear friends, for watching our show. I hope you have come to understand what hierarchy and what subjugation of various people in historical times has been all about. On that note, thank you, dear friends, for watching our show. Stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you.